I am 25, and this incident happened a year ago during April Fool's Day, 2023. I had just moved into my first apartment and was in the process of moving in. The door that led into my apartment locks itself up automatically when closed, so I was going to the entrance of my apartment complex to get my mail while talking on the phone with my boyfriend. We have been dating for 3 years, and I was planning an April Fool's prank on him, saying that I'm pregnant and he should move in together with me. Just some silly prank to see what his reaction would be. I returned to my apartment and sat on the bed while opening the mail, still using the phone. I dropped the phone on the floor and it landed under the bed. So I had to lie on the floor and stretch for it. That's when I saw something that caught my eye. There was someone under my bed. My eyes widened and I choked back the urge to scream. The person under my bed was lying still, with his back towards me and his head to his chest, so I couldn't see his face. And he didn't see me. Trying to be rational while so many thoughts rushed through my head, I picked up the phone and said, "Sorry, I dropped my phone. I'm just going to take a shower and call you back." The bathroom is right by my bed, so I hastily walked in, quietly locked the door, turned the shower on, jumped out my window, my apartment is on the first floor, and called the police. They told me to wait nearby, but to go across the street and see if anyone comes out the door of the apartment complex. I placed myself across the street, hiding behind a car while watching my open bathroom window and the entry door. I called my boyfriend, and he came to me just before the police. I gave them my keys and they went inside. Only moments later, 2 cops came out holding a thin and tired-looking man. His eyes looked crazy, but he didn't try to get away. The policeman that had stood beside me and comforted me while the police searched through my house. I was a mess, shivering and crying. Told me that the man stood outside my bathroom door with one of my kitchen knives, waiting for me to come out. This man had somehow crept in my entry door while I was getting my mail and hid under the bed. The man who was trying to hurt me turned out to be a homeless person and was placed in a mental hospital. My boyfriend moved in with me the very next day.
When I was 13 on April Fool's Day, I wanted to pull a big prank on my parents. I'll put a ransom note on our door front, then I'll sneak out while they are busy doing their thing. I figured they'd get worried as the day went on. Pretty mischievous plan if you ask me. By around 7 p.m., Mom called us for dinner, and that was my cue to sneak out. Dad was in the shower, so my escape was smooth sailing. I snuck into the backyard all set for my prank. But when I got back an hour later, things got serious. The porch lights were on full blast, and the front door was open. I went in cautiously and found an unexpected visitor. An intruder had broken in. Panicking, I hid with Mom in the basement, hearing heavy footsteps above us. Mom stayed calm and came up with a plan. With her support, I managed to slip out through a basement window and ran to our neighbor, Mrs. Malone, for help. She called the cops, and in the next few minutes, I heard the cop cars approaching. There were 2 cop cars outside, and the policemen were ravaging the house. I even heard gunshots. A few minutes later, another siren started approaching our house. It was the ambulance. The cops came out holding a man handcuffed. He was bleeding from his shoulder, which explained the gunshots. This was the intruder. I thank God for him getting caught. Finally, my parents can come out now. All the policemen came out. Nobody said a single word. They all just looked at each other. Then 4 more policemen came out with 2 stretchers. There were black plastic bags on them. The guys from the ambulance took them in. That's when my eyes moved to the left corner of the street, under the lamppost. 2 people were standing, a man and a woman. They had blood all over their bodies. The woman had a knife gutted into her stomach, and the man had no brain. They were none other than my mom and dad. They had smiles on their faces. They slowly raised their arms and waved at me. Retaining their smiles, they disappeared into thin air. "You are Joey, right?" I snapped back to reality, hearing the policeman's voice. He hugged me and said I needed to stay with my grandparents for a few days. I asked him why, but he just asked another cop to escort me to the police van. I came to know later that on the night of the 1st of April, a man with the intention of robbery came to our house. He succeeded in getting in from my bedroom window, which I left open on my way to sneaking out. As he stepped in from the window, he came face to face with my mom, reading my ransom letter. My mom tried to scream, and the robber stamped her to shut her mouth. Her body was found on my bed. Once the robber managed to come down the stairs, he saw my dad walking up the basement stairs. Before he could step out into the living room, he took out his gun and bashed his brains out, making him fall back on the basement floor. I never told anyone that, even after being dead hours back. My parents' spirit stayed back waiting for me. They knew I wouldn't make it on my own, so they guided me like my angels and helped me save my life.
When I was 18, I was really into photography, and I loved participating in community groups and doing cool stuff for our group's Facebook page. We're preparing for an event where we go on a hike and take photos of the landscape, and the one with the best photo taken will get a cash prize from the group leader. I have been an active member of this group for a while, which mainly consisted of 30 to 40-year-olds and their children. About a week before the event, a new person joined the group. Of course, we all welcomed him. This man was fairly old, and to be honest, he didn't look very appealing, like a wrinklier Willem Dafoe with really wiry white hair. He asked us in the group chat if we were going out on another hike soon as he'd like to join us. The group leader responded by saying that we were scheduled to have an event on April 1st, and we would love for him to join us. The day of the event came. All the usual people were there, and I asked if the new man had shown up yet. They all replied no. We waited for a good 25 minutes and decided he couldn't make it. So off we hiked up this hill and started getting some cool nature shots. Then, all of a sudden, the man we waited for emerged from the bushes. His clothes were dirty, and he was silent. He didn't have a camera with him, which was a requirement when we go out to do activities like these. He said he would tag along. He made the whole group feel so uncomfortable. And keep in mind, we were far from our cars and halfway up a forest hill. The group leader quietly whispered to me that we were going to circle back. I was relieved, because this guy was creeping all of us the hell out. The leader announced we were going back now, and then probably a split second after that, the man started yelling at all of us like a madman. He started raving on about how he was going to skin us and skullfuck us, and then he revealed a hunting knife strapped to his belt. One of our members was ex-Navy and reacted immediately, being the muscle of the group. He really showed his worth as he held this guy down and twisted his arm into a position that he could break easily if he didn't comply. He eventually calmed down, and we called the police. Back at the parking lot, the whole time we waited, he was saying some really cruel and nasty things he was going to do to us. At one point, he bit the tip of his tongue off, and blood went all over his face. He did a high-pitched laugh and then never spoke again. The sergeant came and took him away. A few days later, they found out his real name and where he lived. When the police investigated his home, they ended up finding pictures of the entire group on all of our hikes taken by this man. There must have been hundreds of photos. He found out some of our names because we would sometimes talk loudly to one another. If anything, the intentions of this man were pure evil.
I hope you found these stories as chilling and unsettling as I did. It's a stark reminder that sometimes reality can be stranger and more frightening than fiction. If you enjoyed these tales of suspense, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more spine-chilling content. This is your host, Nicholas Black. Until next time.